This one is called Spiritual Weightlifting. Now, we know that if we want to look after our bodies, keep them strong and healthy, we need to develop practices which nurture them. And something that is popular these days is to go to the gym, and some people like to do weightlifting. So this one is called Spiritual Weightlifting, and it's to address our spiritual growth and nurturing, just as much as all that body work is designed to nurture our bodies. There's many methods that you can use. There's an almost infinite number of methods that you can use, in fact. And having explored a lot of them, I am commending this one for your consideration. So it's incredibly helpful with any spiritual practice to have what we call an altar. In shamanism we call it the shaman's mesa. It can be called a shrine, and it doesn't matter what you call it, it's the same thing. So it's a little space, a place where you go, where you have some items or objects that mean something to you that's particular to yourself. So mine is super simple at the moment because I haven't finished unpacking from the retreat and I only drove back 4 days ago. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through my form of spiritual weightlifting and explain exactly why it is that I'm doing it. So the first thing I'm going to do, having arrived and done a very little brief clearing with a rattle, that's just to clear my consciousness of any baggage, energies which are not appropriate. Rattle is great, drum is great. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go over, I'm going to light the candle. Lighting a candle is such a simple, profound practice in its own right. I'm going to pick up these beads, and this is so that when I chant my mantra, because that's what I'm doing, I'm using mantra chanting as my practice, it means I can keep an eye on how many times I've done the mantra. And I'm going for 108 times, and that's to activate all of the energy centers that people call chakras in my energy body. And I'm going to announce the beginning of the session by using my gong. So I'll do this 3 times first of all. And now I take up my position, and the one that I'm going to do is the one that I have been doing continuously for 78 days. So it's my 79th day of doing this, which is very exciting to me. And let me just show you these beads again. So here they are. So I'm literally going to, every time I do the mantra, I'm going to move the beads around in this manner for each mantra. I'm not going to do 108 times now because this is my film showing you this spiritual weightlifting technique. So I'm just going to do a few just to get myself in the mood, and I'll go into more about it. So here we go, I'm all ready. Full exhalation, inhalation. Om Kshipraprasadaya Namaha, 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 Om Kshipraprasadaya Namaha. Om Shiv Prasadaya Namaha, Om Shiv Prasadaya Namaha, Om Shiv Prasadaya Namaha, Om Shiv Prasadaya Namaha. Om Shiv Prasadaya Namaha, Om Shiv Prasadaya Namaha, Om Shiv Prasadaya Namaha, Om Shiv Prasadaya Namaha. So this is Om Kshipra Prasadaya Namaha. And I do that for 108 times, which has the capability and the effect of activating all of my energy centers. And what I'm doing is I'm actually doing a magical practice. It is magic, and it is for the removal of all obstacles. That's what it's for. So, like shamanism, I find that chanting Vedic mantras is what I would call low magic. It's not high magic. There is no long, complicated list of things to do. It doesn't involve prancing around in robes or doing things to impress my own ego or other people. It's just very simple and very straightforward and very pragmatic, and that's the key word of shamanism, and I declare that to be the key word for this practice. So that's what I'm doing. I'm literally removing all obstacles by doing this. And this is the practice I like to do in the morning. And I'm going to be really bluntly honest with you. The first 4 times I did this practice, I got to day number 26 and it all fell apart. I forgot, something happened. So this is my bringing you to the point of one of the most significant things about any kind of a practice like this, is the idea of doing it regularly and preferably on a daily basis. So what I love about this emergency Ganesh mantra, to give it its full title, for the removal of all obstacles, it's something that I do every day. And my original challenge that was given to me by the wonderful genie is do it every day for 40 days. So the first 4 attempts, I got to day 26, it all fell apart. And that revealed to me my issues about commitment and seeing things through. And having screwed it up effectively 4 times, I realised this is all about harnessing the unbending intent, which is what created the universal soul retrieval. It's what created my shamanic practice and all the things that I do. I need to employ unbending intent, which means that I do this practice no matter what. So here's a really nice thing to be aware of. It's great to have a practice that once you get used to doing it, takes up very little time, because it makes it even easier to be absolutely sure that you are going to be in your integrity in this one. So the thing about the emergency Ganesh mantra, it really doesn't take much more than 5 minutes. And what I find doing this is that the more that I do it, I find quite automatically as I speed up. In fact, when it was February 2021 and Jeannie invited me to go, and 3 of us were outside in nature after dark doing 3 mantras, the thing that really amazed me about it is that the mantras were being chanted so quickly. And I couldn't understand that. I thought, why are you chanting them so quickly? I had no idea. And I started chanting my mantra quite slowly. And gradually as time went on, it just simply speeded up. And it seems to be something that happens automatically to some people who work with mantras, particularly if you keep doing them every day for a significant period of time. So my challenge was to do this for 40 days. That was my aim. On my 5th attempt, I'd reached the point I did not let anything stand in my way. There were occasions I was doing this mantra as late as 10 p.m. and there were times I was doing it as early as soon as I get up, I get out of bed and do my mantra. And I like to do this one relatively early. This is my morning mantra, the way I think of it. And what I'm doing is I'm connecting in with a very powerful deity, which I could also use the word entity in as much as like an extraterrestrial life force. And for me, there's something about these Vedic beings, these deities, that they've got a very extraterrestrial feel for me, which causes me to feel very comfortable indeed. I've got a tiny little figure, which is Ganesh, and on Ganesh's forehead he's actually got a symbol, and that symbol is actually the structural anatomy of one of the really crucial parts of our brain. So if we look at the brain, we find that shape is actually in our brain structure, which I find personally quite fascinating. So what I'm doing is I'm joining in with all people all over the world who are doing this mantra this day. I'm also tuning in with all the people in the entire history of the world that have ever done this mantra, and I'm also tuning in shamanic perspective. We know that linear time is an illusion. All our descendants, all the people that will continue to do this mantra. So here's the thing. There's a Western occultism practice which I greatly enjoy called the Lesser Banishing Ritual of the Pentagram. When I do this practice, I am tuning in to many thousands, maybe even millions of people that have done this particular banishing ritual, and that's as long as people have been doing it, which is a lot of years. People have been doing the banishing ritual of the pentagram 100 years ago, probably earlier. However, and it's a really big however, when I work with the emergency Ganesh mantra, I am tuning into a number of people which is so vast, because I'm quite sure there's well over 1 million people, probably a lot more than 1 million people are chanting this mantra today. Imagine that the Vedic civilization goes back, because it goes back recorded more than 25,000 years. Can you imagine the power that I'm tapping into, that all of us are tapping into? So this is it. This is low magic, and we are connecting to the web of life effectively, because we're talking about a mathematical number of humans. We're way beyond billions. We can't begin to count this number. And this, I feel, is a really big reason why it's such an effective practice. So it's rather like if you go down to the gym and you do a particular set of workouts that have been pioneered by someone and people have been doing them for a long time. And we multiply it up into numbers we can't even begin to conceive of. I like to use a sort of mathematical numbers of people have been working with this practice for the removal of all obstacles for more than 25,000 years. And I reckon that's why this is having such a powerful effect. And I am finding it is completely changing my consciousness, my abilities and my alignment, and I am becoming more myself than I have ever been, probably in a lifetime. And that's a really exciting thing. And because here I am, literally I've got this little card. So every day I do this mantra, I've got the pen and I've got the card, and I put a little tick. So anyway, I can see the number I've done. You can see when I started, it was April the 11th when I began this particular sequence. So I started back in the autumn, and here I am now. And it's getting on for the 20th to 21st of May today. I believe that's right. So there was something that did happen that was very particular on day 44. And this might surprise you, it certainly surprised me. On day 44, my partner informed me that it was the end of our relationship. Now, if I had not been doing this practice and I had not been aware of compassionate communication, I feel our story would have been very different. But we are handling this breakup in an exemplary fashion. We are being respectful and kind to each other. I'm so proud and pleased to say it for both of us. We are both being kind and respectful to each other all the time. We've expressed our differences, and that's fine, because there's respect for difference, which is wonderful. And I do feel that the end of a relationship is one of the most challenging things I personally experience, and I do feel the Emergency Ganesh Mantra has literally guided me through it. It's been a long time coming, this ending, and we are both people that take our time to end, so the ending was on its way long before I even began this mantra. Just wanted to make that clear. So what I discovered after doing this for a certain number of days, I forget exactly how many, but I've done more than 40. So let's get to the nub of it. When you do a mantra for 40 days, every day without fail, you validate your unbending intent, because you've proved to yourself just what you're capable of doing, and that's great in its own right. However, because every day I'm activating every one of my energy centers by doing it 108 times, when I do the 108 times 40, that's when something very special happens. And I certainly felt that. I felt like I've been, if to use computer gamers speak, it's like I'd gone through a whole load of levels and I was on a new platform. Wonderful feeling. And when I'd done day 40, I felt this is such a satisfying, desirable thing to do. I felt like, why bother to stop? Now, in the Vedic tradition, when you've done this mantra for 40 days, what you can then do is you can carry on doing it for the number of days, the requisite number of days that you've actually done the mantra for 10,000 times. But once you've done your 40 days, you don't have to do it every day. You can do it as and when. But when you get up to your number 10,000, something even more special happens than when you do your 40 days. However, I'm enjoying this so much, and I know that honing and polishing my unbending intent as a shaman is a really powerful and useful thing to do. So I'm just continuing on. And I'm on day 79. And I'm going to continue on until I get to the 10,000. And I'll be quite honest with you, I'm going to continue on afterwards anyway, but I'll pay very close attention to what it is that happens then. The special names for all this. If you know the name for these beads, please put it in the comments for other people. If you know the name for these particular developments, 40 days, 10,000 times, please put it in the comments for helping other people, because I don't know that. I don't need to know that, because I'm operating out of trust and enjoyment and appreciation. I always feel gratitude. Every day I feel gratitude, but my perception of gratitude has increased so much from doing this mantra. However, there's a really big point I want to make. After I've been doing this for around just over 40 days, I began to realise that there was something about my situation that did not feel in balance. And tuning in, I realised that this is a very male mantra. So what I needed to do is I needed to actually add another mantra to my practice. So my morning practice is the Emergency Ganesh Mantra, and my evening practice is the Chumunda Mantra. Now I'll get my little card and remind myself how many days I've been doing this for. Oh, right, quite a lot actually. I'm coming up for 20 days on this one, and I found as soon as I added it, and I did add it on day 60, so day 60 is when I began with the Shimonda Mantra, and this for me, very much carries the female energy. And there's a story attached to this one. There was a demon that is so powerful and so ferocious, and one of the reasons why it was unstoppable is because it had a very particular intention which had been established. It had set itself up that no man could defeat it. And of course that was a very foolish intention, because that demon was wreaking a lot of havoc in that historical, mythological situation. And what happened is a young woman saw what was going on, and when someone said no man can defeat it, that was it. So she stood up to that demon and she defeated it. So this is the Chumunda Mantra. So this is all about invoking feminine energy. Now, just as much as the Ganesh Mantra is for the removal of all obstacles, the Shimenda Mantra is all about victory, because she achieved victory over the most powerful demon. So I'm going to just give you this one. So the Chumunda Mantra goes like this. Om, Aim, Hreem, Kleem, Chamundaye Viche. Om, Aim, Hreem, Kleem, Chamundaye Viche. Om, Aim, Hreem, Kleem, Chamundaye Viche. And it sounds like this. Om Aim Hreem Kleem Chamundaye Viche. 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 And so I do that 108 times, just the same as with the Ganesh Mantra, and I go all the way around. And when I finally get back to the beginning, which is marked in this particular one by this, that's how I know I've gone all the way around, you see, literally all the way around. I've gone all the way around. My very last one is done like this. I slow it right down and I vibrate it with even more powerful intent. So it sounds like something like this. Om Aim Hreem Kleem Chamundaye Viche Namaha. And I add a little Namaha at the end. And then when I've done that, I make two more sounds. The first one is this, which is Sat Nam, which means I am truth. Truth and I are one, and it goes like this. Sat Nam, Sat Nam, Sat Nam. And to celebrate my father and my ancestry, my father's a devout Christian, I do this one. Amen, 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 which is rather like the shamanic. Indeed it is so. So this is how I work with mantras, and I commend working with mantras to anyone who would like to have the experience of transforming their lives, of being more in their power than they've ever been, of being able to harness, activate manifest and maintain their unbending intent in all situations. So I certainly recommend it for all shamanic practitioners, all people who are trained to be shamans. And I feel that balancing the Ganesh with the Chimunda, the male with the female, the yang with the yin, the dark with the light, it feels so good. And that's what I say to you about your spiritual practice. Whatever spiritual practice you take up, that's a really important consideration. If you do it for 40 days, you need to feel so good doing it. And it can be anything. And I do want to slightly digress at the end here, which is that when I was a person learning to be a state school teacher, I invited a couple of Buddhist monks into my physics class, as you do, and they demonstrated and showed the children how to do a particular Buddhist mantra, which is very powerful indeed. But before they even started, they say, the thing about working with sound, you can use anything. You can chant baked beans, baked beans, baked beans if you like, and it'll still benefit you. And this is the truth. This is a deep truth. Even if you're not tuning into the power, as I'm doing, of words which have been uttered for more than 25,000 years, any kind of sound work, repetitive sounds, is really powerful in its own right. And some physicists have done some lovely work in demonstrating that. But it goes even further. Your spiritual practice could be walking for 2 miles from where you live until you arrive at a bridge nearby, and you could take out a smoke, or you could have a smoke looking at the view on the bridge. Do that every day for 40 days. That's going to have a really powerful effect as well. So although personally, for me, I feel that tuning into something with a pedigree of millennia is absolutely the best way to go. The most important thing is it needs to satisfy you and your needs on what works best for you. And let's face it, we're all unique. That's one of the things about being human. We do know how unique we all are. And certainly for a long time as a shamanic practitioner, just getting my drum out and sitting and doing some drumming for a few minutes every day, that's a really wonderful thing to do as well. Great love to you. May your journey in this life bring you all that you intend, all that you are truly aligned with. And infinite love is the only truth, and everything ultimately else is illusion. All the love to you.